25 years.
With monsoonal moisture returning to southern Utah, the region is at risk of flash floods.
ABC4 Southern Utah correspondent Garrett James has more on that situation.
The threat of flash flooding has returned to southern Utah as a surge of monsoonal moisture has established itself in the region. That threat will increase for all recreational areas in southern Utah on Thursday. I spoke with Peter Dinsmore, and he told me about how big of a threat flash flooding is in Bryce Canyon National Park.
You know, Bryce Canyon sits at the top of two watersheds, and so flash flooding is not that common here, but it is still possible. Typically, we have more localized flash flooding like we've seen the past 2 summers, single storms that dropped almost 2 inches of rain in an afternoon.
However, despite the threat not being as high, there is still a risk of flash flooding in slot canyons. What should you do if you find yourself caught in a flash flood?
The best thing to do is to try to plan ahead in such a way that you don't find yourself in that situation. You know, you can't outrun a flash flood. You want to seek higher ground immediately. You know, these flash floods can happen quickly, so you want to act quickly.
If you know flash flooding is possible, sometimes it is best to avoid flood-prone areas like slot canyons altogether. Peter did tell me that there is a bigger risk you should be aware of at Bryce Canyon, and that's lightning.
Yeah, what we like to say at Bryce Canyon is if thunder roars, go indoors. And the reason we say that is because if you can hear thunder, that means a lightning strike is possible in your area.
Lightning can strike up to 12 miles away from a thunderstorm. Peter told me about a few places in Bryce you really want to avoid during a thunderstorm.
And I'm standing right now on the rim trail between Inspiration and Sunset Points, which is pretty much the exact area you wouldn't want to be if I was hearing thunder now. You know, I'm not only standing next to a snag here, this dead tree, but just by standing on the rim, I'm in one of the highest areas for miles around me, making a lightning strike more likely.
Be sure you are monitoring the forecast, because if you see that flash flooding or thunderstorms are possible, make sure you have a way to receive weather notifications. You can always find the latest on your forecast on our Forewarn Weather app. Make sure when you hear thunder roar, go indoors. In southern Utah, Garrett James, ABC4 News.
Time now for your Forewarn Weather with Nate Larson.